Hola, soy Josefina, estudiante de Negocios Internacionales y te invito a conocer mi carrera. Esta carrera pertenece a la escuela más global de la UV. Cuenta con 3 convenios exclusivos de doble titulación con universidades de Alemania, México y Austria. Nuestra vocación internacional se refleja, además, en 7 niveles de inglés y 13 asignaturas de negocios dictadas 100% en ese idioma. El plan de estudios de esta carrera, que se dicta en Viña del Mar y Santiago, incluye desde el primer año prácticas y experiencias de trabajo en diversas empresas e instituciones. Por todo esto, ven y súmate a la UV, la estatal más grande de regiones.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, actually. It's noon, so we are already in the second half of the day. Thank you all for coming and be present today. Today, this is going to be an open class, so this is going to be addressing some of the topics that we are going to review with the class of International Commercial Integration. But we had a few activities during the week, so I prefer to provide this capsule as an open class for everyone to have this information. We are in the international business major. We are implementing these interactions in English, so I'll provide all of this information that you are going to have today is gonna be in English. I invited a few people and important people in the major. I invited the director so he can be present in this presentation, and I appreciate the time that he is here. We have another invited, Professor Marlene Peña, who I appreciate her presence as well. And we had a few invited, of course, from the outside of the school, which is our spirit as a public university. So hopefully everyone enjoyed what I'm going to present today. Mr. Director, I don't know if you want to address a few words before I start with the presentation. All right, so the first thing that I would like to address here is this is going to be an ongoing work. I'm planning to launch a few updates about what I'm going to present today, because this is a long undergoing talk and conversation. Probably this is going to lead for more interactions during the year, especially considering the next upcoming update by the International Monetary Fund in October. So hopefully this is going to be the start point for further interactions between us. So I would like to start making an agreement, especially for the audience that is not listed in the course. We are going to classify in a theoretical level what are the type of integrations that we can find. This is a theoretical level, and we are going to see in practice what are the major differences that the word is shaping nowadays. We're going to have in this in the column side, we are going to have the free trade area in the lowest level of integration. That is the free trade. Free trade means that we make an agreement, and we are free to negotiate the rates with third parties, independently on what is the level of agreement that we can reach with the counterparty. So the free trade area is the most is the lowest level of integration because it's a two parties agreement, and sometimes there are more than one party, but it's an individual level agreement. We are free to negotiate with another external party to the agreement. We are free to place the rates and the tariffs that we consider pertinent for each other party outside of the agreement. With the customs union, this is different. We agree to make a free trade area. We agree to reduce the tariffs, but we are fixing the terms of agreement that we are going to conduct with third parties. So if there is another country outside of the agreement of the customs union, we have to abide to the terms of the customs union to fix the tariffs for that country. So it's not that the level of integration required for this type of negotiation is stronger than the free trade area, because we agree on the terms that we have to take towards the third parties outside of the agreement. The common market, the level of integration is even deeper than the customs union, because in the common market we are going to agree not only in terms of the trade, in terms of goods and some specific services, but we are also going to integrate into the discussion some elements on the balance of payments that require further documentation. For example, financing companies, funds for companies, migration, movement of people in general, movement of capital flows from one country to another one. So the common market, because of the complexity of these elements, the common market requires deeper integration than the customs union. Customs union is generally made for the trade of physical goods, for the physical cargo. That's where we are safe, and we are committed to examine the elements of security and the levels of physical flow to ease the commerce between these parties. But in this level, in the common market, we have investments, we have capital movements, we have change of the ownership of critical assets that might cause some impacts in the economic stability of those countries. In terms of if we go further into the integration level, the economic union is going to represent the top max that we have nowadays in reality. The economic union, we can see it in the European Union. However, in the theory, we say that the economic union provides the countries under agreement with a supranational government that oversees the political economy, the monetary economy. However, we can see in the reality that this can take different shapes. So, for example, in the economic union is a different entity than the Eurozone, because not every country in the European Union is undertaking the euro as part of the local currency. The level of integration in the economic union is going to be the top max that we have for now, because if we go to the political union, on where the leaders cede some of the sovereign decisions in those countries, that also can take different shapes. we're going to see in practice that sometimes, in economic terms, the economic union is going to, the European Union is going to work as an economic union, but in sometimes there are some specific actions on where the European Union is going to act as a political union. And that is because they agree in some social policies or some laws that are going to affect the population in general, not only the economic actors in the economy. Now, this is some theory. This is a theoretical level, and this provides us with the framework, the necessary framework to analyze what is happening in reality. We are going to do some, we're going to make some short profiling about the current economic blocks. Just taking a few, I'm not going to talk in this instance for all the economic blocks. Probably this is going to be, as I was saying in the beginning, this is a starting point. So probably in the next few sessions, I'm going to update the coverage on the profiling. So the first block is the European Union. This is not only a solid economic bloc nowadays in the world, but also is one of the oldest. 1957 was created the European Economic Community with 6 founding members. Nowadays, the European Accord is taking different shapes because of the movements that we have that we have witnessed with the exit and integration of more economies into this group. As I was saying, the European zone it's a different entity than the monetary union that undertakes the euro as a major exchange currency with the world. We have the agreement between the US, Canada, and Mexico, and probably if we see the updates, we are going to see some movements in this agreement, especially now with the current president's administration. This was actually modified because of the level of integration that the parties wanted to partake between each other. Previously, we knew this agreement as the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, and this was in the free trade area because this agreement was more concerned about the movement of physical goods. The agreement was updated in 2020, and the level of integration that this agreement provided was provide with the easiness in capital flows and investments between one country to another one. And one important fact about this update is the protection to the intellectual property. The US and Canada are the major players in the productions of patents, industrial property, and intellectual property. So those were one of the topics that they wanted to safeguard the most when they signed the latest update. We have the Mercosur. Oh, by the way, it's common to see in some of the oldest agreements that in the European Union, it's common to see full membership, as well as with this agreement. We generally see the full level of membership. But here's a special. There is a special situation, and this is going to start to This will start to happen with the rest of the blocks that we are going to examine. Because the Mercosur is an agreement between different countries in South America, but not all of them have pursued the full membership. So, for example, we see Argentina, Brazil with the full membership in the Mercosur, and that means that they are taking advantage of the major activities on the Mercosur. But we see some special classifications with the members. We have some of the members suspended, and we have members that are listed under the category of associate country. Chile, for example, it's an associate country with the associated to the Mercosur. It's not full member. The Association of the Southeast Asian nations. This is actually one of the most powerful associations that we can have in the Pacific, because they are surrounding this whole transit area. So we have countries with different profilings here. We have countries with agricultural products. We have countries with huge maritime services and logistics services. And we have the production of commodities. So we are expected to witness a huge stake on the share of the trade as a percentage of the GDP coming from this bloc. The level of integration, it's nowadays is a free trade area, but is increasingly being seen as a union, as a customs union. And that's because the level of integration that these small countries require in order to put the movement of capital and the movement of services, critical services in the logistics sector, requires a deeper understanding and a deeper integration between these countries. The African Continental Free Trade Area, and this is not the picture. It's supposed to be Africa. Let's imagine that it's Africa for now. Well, this agreement covers mostly all the African countries, but they are with the same similar situation that we have in the Mercosur. There is not a homogeneous level of integration between the countries under this agreement. So that makes that the bloc itself is not as solid as the Asian bloc or maybe the blocs in the European Union. One of the features of this bloc is the easiness on physical goods trade. But there is still room for improvement and to examine different levels of integration between significant countries in that bloc. Now we have the correct picture. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This involves Canada and some countries in South America, like Chile and Mexico, and some countries in the ocean side and in the Asian continent. This agreement is bringing together one critical area in the global trade, which is the Pacific Ocean. So the Pacific Ocean is nowadays taking some emphasis in the global trade. Before the Pacific Ocean, we have the Atlantic as the major area of exchange, because of Europe and the United States, Canada. But nowadays, the Asian countries are trying to integrate with the rest of the Western economies. We are to see, this is a new agreement, so we are to see some innovations in terms of the agreement itself, as well as the flow of physical goods and capital flows. So, as I was saying, this is this session today is meant to be the first step for further examination of this, of the ongoings of these agreements. So probably later on in the next few sessions, I'm going to start to prepare a few visuals that are more easy to read. The European Union, the main product types are machinery, vehicles, chemicals. We have critical industries in the European Union. We have high-end manufactured goods. You know, we have some of the most significant countries in terms of the engineering level. So this is a highly diversified economy. One highlight that I would like to notice is the European Union accounts for 15 to 16% of the global exports. So it's a significant area that we should examine. The agreement between the United States, Mexico, and Canada, it's another significant player, because in terms of the global trade, the significance is around the 30% of the world's GDP. So there is a significant presence in the planet because of this bloc. Major industries that this bloc produces and trade are automotive, machinery, electronics, petroleum, and petroleum derivatives, and also a big presence in the financial markets. There is no direct percentage yet. I haven't found it. I haven't found the exact measure that I can take to examine the Mercosur, and this is one of the complexities of analyzing this bloc. And it's because the different degrees at which countries can integrate. But in general terms, we have primarily a commodity-based economy. So basically, all Latin American countries are based on natural resources. Nowadays, we can see some integration into a more complex economies. For example, Chile, it's a natural resources-based economy, but in a few years, probably we are going to see this economy progressing into a more complex economy, especially with regards to services. In terms of Asia, we have a strong presence with the semiconductors industry. You might heard on the news that China is one of the main competitors in creating the microchips, the new microchips generation for artificial intelligence, and they are on the race with the previous block that we examined. Semiconductors has always been a significant industry in this block, and not only because of China. Japan and South Korea are also one of the most innovative countries in the planet in regards to the semiconductors industry. We also have machinery. We also have some engineered based products. Not much on the natural resources. These economies are more based on logistics and engineering and manufacturing goods. They are significant. They participate of around the 8% of the global merchandise exports. But there are some nuances to this calculation still, because if we account only for the finished good, but if we don't account for who is building it, if we added the category of the companies that are producing the goods, probably we are going to see this number increasing. Why? What is the reason? It's because in this area we have a lot of European and American subsidiaries, for which the trade accounts on their nation of origin sometimes. So this number is also a work in progress calculation that I would like to refine in the future. For the African countries, this is another natural resources-based economy, and they are more based on the extractive mining activities for most of them. Some manufactured goods we are going to find, especially in more developed economies within this block. But it's basically minerals and ores and rare earths, but they are so demanded that they account for around the 3% of the world's GDP. So, sorry, the global exports. So their presence is probably going to be more significant as they progress into their internal capacities for production. The CPTP, they account for around the 15% of the global share, and they are significant in the global trade because this agreement is about using the Pacific as the main route. So we will expect that this is going to increase over time. So the European Union, if we are to take some major takeaways on the profiling, the European Union leads with advanced manufacturing and chemicals. There are some other industries because they are fully diversified, but it's a block that is innovation driven. Most of the innovation that we are going to see and most of the trends are coming from this block and the next one. The North American agreement centers on automotive and industrial goods, but if we join this, if we group these two blocks nowadays, we have most of the 80% of the global production in industrialized goods. So these blocks are really important to put attention on. Mercosur is heavily dependent on commodities and minerals and petroleum-based products. Asian, it's the chip of the world. It's the computer nowadays because of the prevalence of the semiconductors industry. Africa, it's raw materials, commodities, and probably some petroleum-based products. Depending on the level of the economic progress that individual countries might partake, they might be able to diversify the offer by this economic bloc, but this is probably not going to be refined in the short term. In terms of the Pacific Agreement, we have a significant presence in terms of the logistics and the supply chain capacities. So one thing is analyzing data, is analyzing and profiling economies, and the other topic is how these blocks are doing in terms of the current in the current economy and with the current leaders. So in terms of the European Union, nowadays we see some internal strains from the Brexit and rising nationalist and populist movement for both sides, for the right wing and for the left wing. We have some leaders that are trying to put more attention into the local economy rather than collaborate with the European Union, with the joint venture of these countries. Well, well, I was talking to me, but I didn't realize that. So we have some geopolitical pressure, of course, because of the armed conflicts. Every bloc nowadays, every bloc in the planet is nowadays taking pressure somehow from the armed conflicts that are undergoing in the planet. But the European Union specifically, there is a huge expenditure by the European community because of this conflict. So they do have some pressure to increase production in order to match the expenditure that they are undertaking with this conflict. We also have the migration crisis. Migration is in the movement of people in general. Migration is not only a European Union's problem, it's basically being experienced by all major economic blocs. In terms of the North American agreement, we have trade disputes. We have a daily new shapes of this agreement and probably some more consequences that are upcoming, especially from the US, from the United States. But we also have some challenges in terms of security from Mexico. The situation of security, especially in the borders, was actually under control a few years ago, but now it's escalating again. The relationship between the United States and China is fragile. Sometimes they are in good terms. Sometimes there is a shift in the tone of the conversations. So we have a lot of volatility in terms of the internal movement between these blocs. In terms of the Mercosur, we have different realities confluent in the same environment. We have the reality from Argentina that it's totally different than Brazil's reality. So between the active members, we have different ideologies that are ruling in each country. So it's in that context, might be difficult to reach significant agreements, especially for economic flows. We have one country that is under political instability, and the consequences of this can, in some cases, can hamper the most proximate countries in this bloc. There are some border tensions again between these countries, and hopefully this is not going to escalate as an armed conflict as we have in the next regions. Asia right nowadays it's the most, I would say that is the most chill area in the planet. they have some conflict. They have some political conflicts, especially between China and Taiwan, but they are not as significant to escalate into armed conflicts as of now. We have, however, the Myanmar crisis, and we have the pressure from the U.S. to China and vice versa can increase some warm-up dialogues between countries. In Africa, we have a very it varies on the area, because we have one of the most terrible humanitarian crises in the African continent, which is still not solved. Africa was actually one of the first targets by the United Nations, where the Security Council actively decided to act into to those nations. So the armed conflicts actually causes instability in terms of the economic agreement, because what is the level of integration that we are supposed to partake if these countries next to me are under conflict? In terms of the agreement in the Pacific, we have the consequences of the integration of all the rest major blocs. So probably this bloc is going to receive most of the consequences by individual countries that are present in this agreement. So to conclude the presentation, we have different profilings in the blocs. We have different producers. We have different items that are to be increased with the depending on the level of integration that we partake. But we also have some innovations in the supply chain, especially provided by the Pacific Agreement. The integration depth varies, and varies also in the degree on which each country would like to participate in the bloc. In the most oldest blocs that we have, the North American and the European Union, we see some solid membership, although they are still with rivalries sometimes, and sometimes the dialogue is not as fluid as we would like. The full membership is common to be seen in this bloc, but in terms of in the newest blocs, the degree of commitment of each individual country is different. Trade specialization is it's an identifier in the blocs. We see that the North American and European are fully diversified, whilst the rest of the blocs that we are covering today are dominant with one or two industries. Geopolitical risk remains as a challenge, because we are actually integrating among countries and we have different realities in the domestic economy. It's normally expected to have disagreements. But being in conflict, that is another different level of conversation, and hopefully along the years, this is not going to be an issue for countries. So, as I was saying, this is the starting point, and I appreciate very much your presence here. And shall you have any questions? I'm happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Professor, considering this economic block analysis, which do you believe offers Chile new opportunities of development?
Well, Chile is we have access to the major economic blocks nowadays at different levels and different degrees, and that is this is interesting because this is going to be the next unit in my course. But in terms of Chile, Chile is not only integrated into this agreement. Chile is integrated also with the Atlantic, with the European Union. We are also integrated with the North American. We are also somehow integrated with the Mercosur. So we have open doors in that sense. However, the consequences that Chile might be suffering the most is the conflict between their major partners. So, for example, we have a conflict here from the U.S. and who is in conflict with China nowadays. Two of the main partners that we have. But regardless, we have access in terms of agreement and in terms of options that we have access to the major economic blocks. So in terms of openness, that is not the problem. In terms of access, the problem is how vulnerable and how sensitive we are as an economy to suffer the consequences of the conflict of other countries. So every block is going to provide different opportunities. So for some blocks, our natural resources are going to be more significant. For example, China happens to like the Chilean copper and the Chilean cherries and the Chilean fruit, whilst Europe might like another type of products in our portfolio. So it all depends on the what are we offering to the planet, to the world, and different customers are going to have different preferences. But in terms of openness, we are actually very wide open to this layout. Would that answer the question? Yeah. All right. Yes.
Do you think that if Chile will be an official member of the Mercosur, it will have more benefits than the position that we have already?
I would say that is more. That will be more a political decision, and especially considering the leaderships that we can see nowadays. We have for all those who are not Chilean in this audience, we are with presidential elections this year, and we have different opinions about how Chile should engage or should attempt for the full membership or not. So I think that is more into the political opinion. However, the trend has to be somehow friends. We are good friends with the Mercosur, but not in terms of the full membership. I wouldn't see that eagerness to fully participate into the membership. There are some concessions that Chile will have to make in order for the full membership that will hamper some of the critical sectors that we have in the country. So that's why this is not only an economics opinion. This also concerns the type of leadership that is going to be in front.
So in terms of economics, it wouldn't be that different.
I would say the Mercosur has some challenges to address in an internal level first. Mercosur right now is not directly offering the same benefit that other type of agreements would provide to their member countries. So I would say in terms of the Mercosur, there are some economies that they need to establish the base for progress before examining the benefit of the bloc itself. Would that answer the question? Thank you.
It
Yes.
would be better for Chile to create his own bloc, economic bloc.
Well, it's kind of hard to build a block if you are by yourself. I would say the most convenient, when you're participating in a block, you have to make concessions. So, for example, in the case of the European Union, they made an important concession, which is sovereign decisions. Although they are sovereign countries individually considered, they had to provide the concession of giving that power of decision to a supranational government, which is the European Parliament. So, depending on the level of integration that you are imagining, you have to make concessions. And you have to make concessions that sometimes are costly concessions, because you have to provide part of the national budget into the European Parliament. So that is not a lightweight decision to make. If we create a network of free trade agreements, the level of infrastructure that I have to make concession upon is lighter than a case of the European Union. So it all depends. Chile is not under intention of creating its own economic bloc, but Chile has agreements in terms of the free trade area with key partners, which provide open doors for the transit of the produced goods in Chile. So I would say Chile's position right now is what we need. It's what we have. It's what we need. It's in plain. It's with equal terms of what we can provide. Would that answer the question?
Yes.
All right. So this was, yes, sir.
Yes. From your perspective, do you think that Chile and Colombia could integrate economically in some way, not just ahead?
Well, Chile and Colombia, we are integrated. But the thing is, before examining the making an agreement and before examining the terms of trade, let's first identify how we can benefit together. And Chile and Colombia, we generally have good relations between one country to another one, and I think in terms of the trade, in terms of the goods traded, we are fine. The thing is, we are in the same region, and we are almost with the same realities in our neighborhood. I would say the integration is always wanted. It's always a wanted item for countries, but I will say we both need to work in increasing the value of our offering, so I can benefit you the most, and I can get also the benefit from you by the progress. But in terms of the future integration, I don't know if there is an agenda specifically with Colombia that will be different that we have nowadays. Again, this is again a question about that is related with the future of the political leaders that we might have in the next few months. I would say leadership is, they generally don't define the political the international policies in the country, but they might have some impact in there. But I would say Colombia and Chile, they usually have share good relations in terms of trade and in terms of migration and in terms of, we don't have any problem with the borders because we are not neighborhoods and we are not neighboring countries. But in terms of trade, I would say that is a good and healthy relationship. Any more questions? Well, thank you very much. If you want to share something in Spanish, you are welcome to do so. But in terms of the presentation, I would appreciate everybody's presence today. And as I say, this is an ongoing work. This actually turning out to be really exciting for me, especially in terms of creating the visuals and creating all the presentations. So hopefully we are going to have a more refined work in the future, especially with the upcoming updates during the year. Mr. Director, would you like to address that?
Thank you, Professor. Activity like this are very important. Thank you so much, Cristian.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Hola, soy Josefina, estudiante de Negocios Internacionales y te invito a conocer mi carrera. Esta carrera pertenece a la escuela más global de la UV. Cuenta con 3 convenios exclusivos de doble titulación con universidades de Alemania, México y Austria. Nuestra vocación internacional se refleja, además, en 7 niveles de inglés y 13 asignaturas de negocios dictadas 100% en ese idioma. El plan de estudios de esta carrera, que se dicta en Viña del Mar y Santiago, incluye desde el primer año prácticas y experiencias de trabajo en diversas empresas e instituciones. Por todo esto, ven y súmate a la UV, la estatal más grande de regiones.